providing an overview now of the entire process of submitting to Scholastic. This is going to be for personal essay, fiction, critical essay, and poetry. We're going to start with our first example of a submission will be from personal essay fiction, because really the process, the kinds of things you're going to need to do for both of those genres are the same. Then we'll do poetry, because that has a few things that will come up that are unique to that genre. And then finally, critical essay, which you'll need to supply bibliography, references, and the keyword selection might be slightly more challenging, so we'll do that last. Feel free to stick around for the whole video or just for whatever pertains to your submissions. We're going to start this process from the beginning as if you did not have an account. So you can see here on the left, we've got the create a new account possibility under login. So if you have login, log in as you with your credentials. But if you don't, we're going to start with create a new account here. And remember, the Scholastic website is artandwriting.org. Okay, so artandwriting.org, you can go there. We're going to create a new account as a student. And then we're going to put our credentials, put all of our information. So let's pretend my name is William Shakespeare. My email address is stratfordponavon12@gmail.com. And we're going to repeat that. The email confirmation means you're just going to put the same information in. I would recommend writing it out rather than cutting and pasting in case you made any mistakes. You won't repeat them. Now we're going to create a password. As you know, Mac will create one for you, but the problem with that is remembering it. So I recommend just coming up with your own. Okay. The second field is merely to repeat the same password, verify the password, you put it over, and then you're going to put your date of birth. Remember, you need to be at least 13 to be able to submit to the contest. So you'll need to be 13 by the time that you are supposed to submit on your deadline. So most people's deadline is December 6th. I would need to be 13 by December 6th. So let's see. That'll make me 13. And then here, select writing. And I am in 8th grade. Here I will put what school I attend. So I'm going to actually choose the school I went to for high school. Next. And then ta-da, shows up. Click it. And there we go. Of course, I probably need to be in 9th grade, though, to be in high school, so I'll just change that. All right, how did you find out about the awards? And you can put Educator or out-of-school program, either one. So let's just put that, out-of-school program, create account. Now I'm going to get information here, guidelines for submitting art, guidelines for submitting writing. Okay, a few things to note. As I've mentioned to all of you, there are a number of awards, and some of you, depending on the theme of your personal essay, fiction, or poetry, or even your critical essay, might be able to apply for some of these awards. One is the Climate Change One Earth Award. And we'll get to some of the ways in which you make your poem relevant to that award or your essay, etc. Those of us in poetry wrote pieces that would be relevant to the One Earth Award, so that will be the example I give. Then there's the Civic Expression Award, political and social issues. Quite a number of you in the critical essay class, but also personal essay, and perhaps even fiction or poetry might be able to apply to that one. The other one that is relevant is the New York Life Award, Grief and Loss. A number of people wrote about people dying or the sorts of transformations, some of them quite sad, that happen as a result of the coronavirus. And that could be losing friends, not from death, but just things that happen. Those of you who wrote those essays know what I'm talking about. But like lots of different ways that you can apply your essay topic to the idea of grief and loss. You're going to have to write a short little essay, 50 words or more, explaining the relevance of the award to your essay. So New York Life Award, One Earth Award, Civic Expression Award, all of those, you are going to write a little essay and tell them, make the connections between what you've written about and some of the topics that they mention, subtopics that they mention as part of the award. But we'll get to that at the end. But please, everybody, do keep in mind, this is definitely worth doing. You're not going to lose anything by doing it. So now we're going to click to the bottom and go to Start Now. Okay, so my deadline is December 6th. And I'm going to start by clicking on this orange bar here to add works. Please complete your profile. And it's going to require some more information. So again, it will populate some of those fields from what I've already written, but it leaves quite a lot that I still have to do. So it has my first and last name. I need to put my mailing address. Mailing address is where you receive your mail. Normally, for most people, it's their home address. So whatever your home address is. So let's say it's 111. Okay, if you live in an apartment, put the apartment number there. And then here, city, we'll put Stratford. And then United States, and then we'll put Connecticut there. We'll put a little zip code. Okay. It already has my birthday and my grade there. And then phone number, if you have a phone of your own, you can go ahead and put that there. If you don't have your own phone, you should put your parents' phone number. You don't need to put cell if you already put it right there under phone number. I would not recommend putting a landline under phone because most people do not check their landline regularly. Then you're going to put your preferred email. Remember that, well, whatever the email is to which you receive most of your mail, whether that be your school account or a Gmail account or whatever. Okay. So for a preferred phone, you can just go ahead and type the same thing over. It's not an obligatory field, so you actually don't need to fill it out if you don't want. Okay, here this whole thing about pronouns, you can put she, he, or they if you prefer that. You can also prefer not to say, prefer to self-describe. I don't know what one would put under prefer to self-describe, but I'm just going to put prefer not to say. And then you can put your ethnicity. You don't have to. You can also put prefer not to say, or if you're a melange of different things, you can put prefer to self-describe, because the categories are actually pretty limited there. So I'm just going to put prefer not to say there. It's easier. And then parent or guardian information. Please do be judicious about who you put down, because there's always one parent who's more likely to respond to emails than another. So if you know you've got a parent who checks his or her email often, then put them down. If there's one that you know for sure your mom is terrible about responding to emails or whatever it is, then don't put her down. Okay, so I'm just gonna put and then we're gonna put her email, whatever that would be. And the phone. You might be repeating the same phone number you have above or not, but whatever. All right, so there we go. We're gonna save the profile information there. Great, see the little bar, profile successfully updated. That means I filled in all the required fields with the ones that have an asterisk. There's no mistakes there in formatting, and I'm good to go. I can go to the next section. So I can return to my dashboard, and you can see there where the bar was. I think it was an orange bar for your profile. It's no longer there. So now I can go to my uploads, okay? So we're gonna go to my uploads and add work. Okay, so I'm gonna work with some student pieces that are already done. And the first one is gonna be a personal essay here. So that's what we're gonna look at. Is the personal essay, and there we go. Here we go. I chose this one just because it's got some formatting things. It's got italics in there. It's even got this little fermata, which is a musical notation. Let's see how it, translates into their system. Okay, so it's called, the title is A Scherzo of Turmoil. Okay. What type of work is it? It's a piece of writing, and now I have to pick the genre. So I'm gonna put this one under personal essay. Notice that even though some of you, for example, took the fiction class, you might end up turning in a personal essay or flash fiction, which is a subgenre of fiction. But if you wrote something really that's quite comic, say for fiction, then you would put it under humor, not under short story, even if it is a short story. Likewise, if you wrote a personal essay that's really funny, also goes under humor. So do be aware that that's something you need to do. If you wrote a short story or novel with science fiction or fantasy elements, then that needs to be filed under science fiction and fantasy. In a few cases, I do actually have a number of short story writers who write funny short stories that happen to be also fantasy. So that then is a little bit more of a toss-up if you've written a comic piece of fantasy or science fiction, which you put it under. My leaning would be toward science fiction and fantasy. That's what I would say. But again, it's a bit of a toss-up. But that's what I would do, because fantasy is such a distinct genre, and so I think that would be a wise choice. But at any rate, you can see there's quite a number of options here. So we're going to put this under, again, personal essay and memoir. Okay. Wonderful. So that's done. Then we're going to choose next the school and educator. So this is the school that I've chosen, right? This is my high school. See, depending on your high school, you may have many options to choose from because there's students that apply, lots of students that apply to the Scholastic contest, and so you'll have art teachers and English teachers, especially for some of the more the some of the more competitive schools, then you're going to have a lot more choices. But it may be that you're the first person at your school to ever apply Scholastic. Some of the newer schools, the charter schools, etc., that might be the case. In which case you'd add a new educator there and you put their first, last name, and email. They do need to confirm it. So make sure that you do this ahead of time. However, what I am going to say is all of you have intensively worked on these essays, most of the ones that you're going to submit with me. So if you do have another essay that you've written, or whatever poem, etc., that you've written outside of these workshops, then go ahead and put your teacher's name. But if you are submitting an essay, poem, short story, novel that you've written with me, or that we've workshopped and taken to fruition, and you may have started it elsewhere, but we have really transformed it, then I would ask you to put me down. And in case it needs to be confirmed in terms of that it's to verify that it's your work, if that should ever happen down the road, you'll have me to do that, and your teacher won't be able to. So please do give us credit for having workshopped this with you, and you can do that by where it says here, the box, the orange box there, did you work on the submission in a program outside of your regular day school? And the answer is yes, so click here. Our KEC program is based out of Warren, New Jersey, so we're going to put New Jersey here. And the question, I only attend an other educational program. I do not attend this day school. That I don't think is the case for anybody. So that's no. So we're going to put next. And then we're going to type in KEC and it should come right up. Okay, there we go. So we're going to click on KEC. And my name has been added to the list along with your high school or middle school teachers. So there I am, Jeffrey Neal, please add me. And then we're going to go next to next copy, and then we're also going to click KEC. Okay, so we've clicked KEC and Jeffrey Neal, and now we're going to go next copyright and plagiarism policy. So read through that. It's basically saying that you have not plagiarized from any other person, business, school, or organization, meaning you didn't pay somebody to write this for you. So we're going to click that. Also, if you want to see the complete plagiarism and copyright guide, you can click on this over here. But otherwise, we're going to go next to upload. Okay. Now, for personal essays and poetry and fiction, generally you're going to be clicking this box. My work is completely from my own observations, ideas, and imagination. Okay? But some things in poetry, like the ekphrastic poems that we did, where there was an image involved that you were writing on, you're going to want to click images or writing from the internet. Even if you have gotten the image from a book, I would get it from the internet as well. That way you can easily put the URL link here for it. Okay, so let's just say that this is for poetry, and I've used this ekphrastic. I've written an ekphrastic poem which relies on an image. So we're going to look at the image here. It's this one. It's the Starry Night by Van Gogh. Okay, and I am going to choose a very high resolution image because you know what? You probably, if you get to a certain point in the selection process, you're going to have your judges want to see the image that it's based on. So you want a good high resolution image that is also free, that is in the public domain. And if you go to Wiki Commons, part of Wikimedia, you'll often find these images of just about any painting that are high resolution and in the public domain. So you can choose that. Let's copy that and let's put that here in the bar. Okay, so we've got our JPEG there. Okay, and that would be, for example, if I had an image that was relevant to my poem. That is not the case with this particular essay, so we'll just leave that. And that essay is completely from the writer's own observation. So this is, fairly easy, but sometimes you do have to think about it. Because somebody who wrote the ekphrastic poem might have forgotten to put the image. So do think, give yourself the time to be able to think clearly about all of this. Okay, so the next thing is to tag your work. So tagging your work means coming up with keywords. So this particular story, personal essay, is about a young woman and her relationship with her piano teacher, and also with another friend, and also with the pianist Chopin. So tons of different things that are covered there. Without having read the essay, it might be a little difficult for you to come up with keywords, obviously, but I can explain some of the keywords that I'm going to choose. You have to choose up to 5. Make sure that they are really helpful, not just random or thoughtless keywords. So this, I would definitely put Chopin, the pianist and composer, because that is really a central part of the essay. So we're going to put that and click return, and then it puts it up there. And then I'm going to put the another possibility is you can actually even put the subgenre, so memoir, let's say. See, it comes up, or personal memoir. These are other people's selections, but some of them are actually ones that you would want. So we just put memoir, and then I'm going to put friendship, because that's actually what this is all about as well. Let's say friendship problems, broken friendship, female friendship. Let's say friendship problems. And then how about conflict? We have all these different possibilities for conflict. In this case, inner conflict. Okay, so I've got 5 different keywords that I think are really relevant to that essay. Chopin, memoir, friendship problems, piano, inner conflict. I might think about it and come up with even better ones, but those are pretty good off the cuff. And then you want to put the words, so do make sure that you go into a word count. Right, so that means everything in the essay except for the title. Okay, that also includes subtitles, because those are going to be cut and paste in there. So we do want to make sure the subtitles are included, but not the title. Okay, so I'm going to do a word count here, right here on the Google Doc. You can see this is a fairly long essay, so hopefully we'll be under the 3,000 words. So we got to here, tools, word count, and then it says 1,794. Okay, so I will put the 1,794 under words there. There we go. And then I am going to cut and paste the work as well. So let's go ahead and do that. No, sorry. So we'll go back here. Okay, great. So cut and paste, Control C, and then paste it here, Control V. Okay, excellent. So we've copied and pasted. Notice it doesn't look too good. So when you first put it in, you're going to have formatting to do. This is why I always tell people, do not wait till the last minute, because you're going to get super stressed if you're doing this. with just a few minutes to spare be when you need to submit it. And then of course, inevitably there'll be some sort of computer glitch, right? So I need to, let's bold that subtitle, and then we want to center it. Okay. As far as as you'll see, I'm going to try to put a paragraph indentation with the tab button. It doesn't work. So those little boxes that you need to populate with text, usually the tab button doesn't work. So there's two possibilities. Either you can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 space bar for every paragraph, and that's a little boring, to be honest, to have to go and do that. It's a little easier just to do paragraph breaks by putting a space between each paragraph, and that's going to take you a little bit of time, but it'll take you less time than that spacing 5 times. And frankly, I think that's all you really need to do. Look, the fermata actually cut and paste, which is awesome. So sometimes when you make sure that when you choose some sort of symbol like that, that you're not choosing a JPEG symbol, but that you actually get the text symbol that you can put in there. If you want to know more about the difference, you can always Google it. I'm not going to explain it here. So I'm going to put the fermata, I'm going to bold it, and let's just bold it there. Not honestly sure how to increase the size of that, but I'm not going to worry about that either. And then just look back at the original and see how closely this all looks like a... We'll just do the first part. Okay, so we've got the rejection and then being forced to play Chopin. Okay, so that's all one paragraph. And honestly, you need to just look back and forth, because otherwise you'll overlook something. You won't paragraph well. But paragraph well, I mean you'll forget to put a paragraph break, and then it just doesn't look good, or it's grammatically incorrect. So there we go. I gulped. Then the next one is our routine, space. And I go through it, and then I'm going to go and check with the original. Okay, so this is painstaking work to do it right, and it honestly could make the difference between winning and losing, because it might create misunderstandings if it's not done correctly. I'm not actually sure what that red bar is there for. But anyway, so I would go through the whole thing. I'm not going to do it with you all, but you would be going back and forth between these and making sure it's right. Next, I'm going to go to featured scholarships. Okay, so remember I told you there's a number that you can qualify for. The most common ones being the One Earth Award, Civic Expression Award, New York Life Award. So I'm going to choose, let's see, the New York Life Award, the personal grief. This essay is not really about that, but let's just say it were. So you can get more information here on how to apply. It talks about it, grief. Really interesting, a little explanation that it has there. Grief is the feeling and reaction associated with loss, etc. So it could be, as it says now, things that are COVID related, hospitalized, people that didn't survive, but also emotional impact of racial trauma and coping with your anger, grief, and pain. Or perhaps political divisions draw your friends and families away from you. So there's a few of you who actually wrote essays that would be relevant to that. So I'm going to click here, yes, please consider. And here's where I have to write the 50 words. So this, again, is where you need to be creative in showing how it is that your essay relates to that topic. Don't think that the judges are just going to make the connections for you. You really need to work at it. And I think that's especially true for the political one as well, the civic engagement one, and also the climate change one. Because, for example, well, we'll get into that a little later when we do the poem, but you do need to be creative. So I'm just going to cut and paste the same thing, basically the story, so we can move on to the next place. And then we're going to have to review. And so here there's going to be a submission form that is based on all of this information that you have up here, and I have to sign that. So you can see here is the PDF. If you have your PDF viewer, whether that be Adobe or your preview program on Mac, set up to just have to store your signature, that is what you can do. So I believe I have my signature stored here. Manage signatures, you can see there's a signature. So it's under Tools, and then Annotate, and then Signature. So let's do that. Tools, Annotate, Tools, Annotate, Signature. Ah, there we go. There's a signature. So that's great. I don't have to print it out. I can just stick that in there. And then I can just go ahead and fill out the date there. So that we would want to do, we would want to save it. Okay, when we're done with that, so I've saved it, and then I'm going to go back to my online registration form, and I can upload that form. Okay, so I've got to choose the file, and where is it? Here we go. All right, so there we go. I found it, and I've taken you through the process that you're probably going to go through, which is you're on your desktop and you're searching for the form and you can't find it. So I'm going to upload it. Okay, great. Sorry, I now have to do that all over again. Okay, there we go. We've got it there. And then I'm going to go to payment. I've got my form uploaded here, you can see. My work status is uploaded. It has not been submitted yet. Okay, so I'm going to click on this here and then pay with PayPal. If you don't have your own PayPal, make sure that your parents have one. Again, this is why it's really important to do this ahead of time. Your parents may not have a PayPal set up. It's unlikely, but they may not. See, there's mine, and all I have to do is stick in the password and then I can pay for it, which I'm not going to do because I'm not submitting, because I'm actually not 14. But so there we go. And so that's it. So that's the process taking you from the beginning to the end for submissions, okay? But let's say now I want to submit my poetry. So I'm going to go ahead, and there's my personal essay, but I also wrote a poem. Okay, so I'm going to add that too. Okay, so I've got this poem, and it is what's called a concrete poem. That means it has a shape to it. So sorry, this is not loading up, so I'm going to refresh here. Okay, I'm going to refresh, and I'm going to go back down. Poetry's got a lot of cool stuff here because we've got all these great embedded pictures, and everybody's used form in a really interesting way. Okay, so notice that document was stuck. That may happen when you're cutting and pasting, so just refresh it. Just go to the top bar and press return again. Okay, so then we're going to go here. I'm going to click, whoops. Let's start that again. I'm going to click, highlight the whole poem. Okay, Control C to copy. All right, so I got that. Now I'm going to give the poem a title. I actually don't think it has one yet. With poems, as I've told you all, if you don't have a title, if you've gotten to this point, you still don't have a title and you're agonizing, you can always do the first verse of the poem as a title. So that would be oil, trash, pollution, overwhelming. Okay, it is writing, it is a poem. We're going under words, poetry. And then next, school and educator. Okay, we're going to put KC, we're going to put me, and then we're going to go here. Okay, so this poem is, my work is complete. Actually, it's not true. This poem was based also on an image of that great plastic floating island that's the size of Texas. So I'm gonna put that here. Images are writing from the internet, and then I would put again, like what we did earlier, I put the URL to the image. Now, if you all remember, the image is in your homework sheet, so you can just go back to that and cut and paste it. So I'm just gonna make something up, and it's a single poem. So remember, everybody, for poetry, I urge you to choose a single poem. There's almost no circumstance under which doing a collection is a better choice, because your options of winning more prizes are better by submitting the poems individually, and your being safeguarded against losing is better also if you submit them individually, because if you have two bad poems and say like one good poem that you were to submit together as a collection, likely that you're going to lose. Whereas if you had submitted them separately, you probably would have won with the one poem. So definitely single poems. And then we're going to type in the keywords. So again, garbage, perhaps. Does that come up as anything? Garbage, pandemic, crying. Oh, this is funny. Pandemic, crying turtle, garbage, pollution. That is a very specific keyword. Crying turtle, garbage, pollution. How about we put floating, ocean pollution. There we go. That actually is a category. Plastic, because that comes up as a huge thing. Plastic waste, let's put that. Concrete poem, so put the kinds of poem. This is really important for poetry. We've worked on sonnets, we worked on ekphrastic poems, we worked on sestinas, and concrete poem. So please put it. That's important to identify what it is. Floating, so let's see, the garbage island, we can add that. Garbage island, let's put that as one. And then how about we put climate change, since we're gonna connect it. Okay. All right, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tags, so that's good. And then we're gonna put the number of lines. So we'll just have to count those all up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. Okay, so it's 14. I would double check that though, if I were actually submitting this. Then we're gonna do next featured scholarships. Great, so let's go ahead, we will paste this. So let's see if it retains the shape. Yes, it did a really pretty good job here. I think when I'm looking at it, I'm comparing here, and I think these need to be moved a bit. So that's what I would do. I don't know why that all didn't come out exactly, but it did pretty well. I mean, I didn't have to completely redo it, which is great for something like this, where this is a concrete poem. Like, it is absolutely essential that the shape of the picture basically be correct. So this is especially good if you're an artist and you can play around with this. So take the time to play around to make sure it looks like what you want it to. You know, the more I look, the more mistakes I see in how this was transferred. But like I said, I was pretty impressed that it didn't completely mess it up. Okay, let's say that's good enough for now. And I would probably double check the lines. Featured scholarship. Okay, so I would do the One Earth Award for this. And then let's see here, click for more information. It's important for you to click for more information because it's going to tell you all the things that are covered. Some consequences of climate change include sea level rise, an increase in air pollution, hurricanes, droughts, extreme weather, blah, 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 blah. It's got a lot of stuff there. But you might say, what is the relationship, for example, with this poem? It's about a floating garbage pile, and it's mainly a lot of plastic to climate change. That's really going to involve some research. There is a connection. There's no question. But I'm going to have to look at do some research on what is it, why it is that ocean contamination, ocean pollution, plastics, what effect they might have on animals, on the flora, algae, stuff like that, microorganisms that are living in the ocean, and then the production of, say, oxygen and the elimination of carbon dioxide. So you all have been taking science. I'm certainly not a scientist, but we all have a nice education in science that we can draw on to make the connection. And then I'm going to go back to my poem and read what I've written and take a verse here and there, take a phrase here and there, like spoiled behavior makes us spoil our oceans. A paradise of clear blue water. I'm going to take lines and connect it to the subtopics and the ideas, and I'm going to connect my poem to the science of climate change. This is the challenging and fun part of this. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to click here for more information or to apply. I'm going to click yes, and then I'm going to write something brilliant up here and submit. Okay, so there we go. Okay, I clicked on the wrong thing above. I had put the New York Life Award, which is for personal grief, but let's just say I could apply this poem to both. Next review. Okay, and then the same thing with downloading the PDF, putting your signature, putting the date, saving it, and then uploading it. So you're going to download and upload. If, however, you don't know how to add the signature, your parents don't know how to do it, you can't figure it out, then you're going to have to print it. So you go to print, do it manually, so print this out and then put your signature manually. The date, etc., and go from there. Remember, you're going to have to put a student signature and the parent signature. That's all going to be in the PDF. So anyway, so that's what we'll do, and then you upload it. So you do need time to do all of that. All right, so now I'm going to save and return to the dashboard because we're going to do our last thing. Our last work is going to be a critical essay. Okay, so we're going to go there again to add work. And so we're going to work with an actual critical essay here. Okay, so we had chosen a title for this in class that was better than the first one. Remember, it has to be in title case. Title case is capitalized first letter of all the major words. So it would be the impacts of, not capitalized because it's just a preposition that's in there. It's of psychological projection. On is another preposition, doesn't need to be capitalized. And cancel culture is already capitalized. That question mark should not be there. So you want to proofread and copy it and make sure that no weird things get stuck in your essay by mistake like that just did. And then we're going to go here, critical essay. Okay, so same thing, next school and educator. We all know what to do. We're going to click KEC. We're going to click Dr. Jeffrey Neal. Then we're going to go next, copyright and plagiarism. No, we didn't cheat. Then we're going to upload. Okay, so this is a little more complicated because an essay like this is not going to just rely on my own observations. This is a research essay. So I'm going to go to Images are writing from the internet, and with some of these you actually have books too that you would add. Images are writing found in books, magazines, newspapers. And then over here it says list source materials in the text below with URLs and whatnot. But you also have a bibliography, so it seems like they want you to put the source materials in both places, in the bibliography and in that little thing. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go here to Works Cited, and we're just going to copy the actual entries there. So Control C, and then we're going to stick it there and see what happens. Okay, so that did copy and paste, great. But the important thing is really that we have it in a formatted version as part of, there we go, we have that there, and it's nicely formatted. Okay, so down here, it's, remember that we have a 3,000 word limit, so make sure that you've double checked and we're still at 3,000 words, and there's that bibliography footnote, so let's just put it there. Excellent, so we're going to make sure that the spaces are in between all the entries. And remember, now we have it above in that list of source materials. Don't know why you put it twice, but anyway, that's what they want. And then down here below, we're going to make sure it's nicely formatted and there's nothing weird happen. And I'm going to also, I would proofread all these entries and make sure that everything is still correct. Okay. Don't worry about italicization or underlining that you may have had in the original. That's not actually important here. And actually, you don't really have any options in bibliography footnotes for the italicizing like you do in the main copy text box. Okay, so we've got all that, and then we're going to go here. So we've got to go back to the essay, and we're going to, of course, copy the whole thing. Okay, there we go. Not the title though. So Control C, stick it in here, Control V. At the same time, we can go back and do our little word count. Since we're still highlighted, we're going to do the word count. We're at 1,752 words. Okay. So we've got to go up a bit and put that 1,752 words before we forget. I could swear that our personal essay that we did before was exactly the same number of words, but that's probably just me having deja vu. Okay, so remember, we're going to go back and make sure that the spacing between paragraphs is all there. And that you really do have to keep looking back and forth, because otherwise you can really mess this up. So it's like here on the right, that particular tweet, all the way down to right, question mark. Okay. It just looks quite different, as you can see, and so you go back and forth and make sure everything is right. And again, the tag is really important. So this essay is about cancel culture. Notice the original essay on this, The Blurred Line of Online Activism, did not actually capture what the essay was about. And when you start to do keywords, for example, and you realize that your keywords are not things that are included at all in the title, that's when you know you probably have to redo your title. Not probably, but you definitely have to redo it. So here we're going to put cancel culture. See what comes up. I guess we're the first ones to put that. Online activism actually is somewhat a thing here, so somewhat of a keyword, so we'll put that. And then we're going to put psychological projection. This is interesting. We've got all brand new categories. Social media is also part of it. And then the whole idea about racism and stuff comes up here too. Okay, so we'll put that. All right, so there we have our keywords. And remember, as I said, especially for the critical essay, more than the personal essay or fiction, the keywords are really important because you have to think of the keywords as those words that somebody would need to look up your essay in a database. They really need to be thorough, really reflect what you labored to argue about in your essay. So don't short shrift yourself by having poor keywords. So then, next, featured scholarships. And we're gonna do the Civic Expression Award because this is about things that would really be social and political issues, okay? So click here for more information. Yes, please consider, and then I'm gonna write the thing. So again, it's really important for me to look at some of those sample topics there to get ideas. Racial, healthcare, criminal, environmental, disability justice. So it's got all these kind of broad topics, but the important thing about that is that the topics that I deal with in my essay, online activism, cancel culture, psychological projection, they might not seem like they are immediately connected to these social and political issues. So it's going to be really important for me as a writer to create the rationale, to write the rationale out for how it is connected. So that's important, is showing them how my issues, online activism, cancel culture, psychological projection, social media, are connected to greater social and political issues like the ones that are listed here. Again, that's going to take you some time. This is supposed to be 50 words or more. You can write a zillion words here because you saw I just put in 1,752 words there and it fits. So give yourself a few hundred words, which is basically like writing another short essay, like the really short essays that you write for college admission. So make sure that you have given yourself the time to do that. Next, review. And we would go through the whole process again of downloading the PDF, signing it, and then uploading it. Okay, so we're gonna just go ahead and save and return to the dashboard. And when we get there, we should have the submission for the personal essay, the submission for the poem, and the submission for the critical essay. And those are the major things that you need to know for the submission process for 3 different genre examples. And again, fiction and personal essay are very similar, so that's why we put those together. If you have any questions, feel free to ask us, and do make sure that you give yourself enough time to get everything done, all the extra writing that you may have to do to submit to those prizes, the time to submit the forms, to download the forms and then upload them back up, and then also to create a PayPal account if you don't have one to pay.